Dina Nayeri and Anna Bosch Miralpeix, congratulations on winning the 2023 Social Action Book Award from I'm Your Neighbor Books. Would you be willing to read to us from the opening of your astonishing book?
This is The Waiting Place. When home is lost and a new one not yet found, children are sent to the waiting place. Sometimes they go with their families, and sometimes they're alone. At first, the waiting place welcomes you. It has heard of the wars, the famines, and bombs in your home. It is very sorry. It has been waiting for you. It wants you to come in and to stay. Inside its gated mouth is a dreary, lazy encampment where there is nothing to do but drift. Children wait, letting time slip away. They forget things. First their sums, street names, their best books, then beloved faces, stories. The waiting place doesn't mind. It wants more children and mothers and fathers. It doesn't want you to visit the nearby lake, to hike the frosted mountain, to learn your new language, or to work or build or learn. It craves your hours, weeks, years. Here is a place that always sees you, it whispers in the night. You must wait, any day now, tick-tock. Why bother with plans? Sit, sleep, fight. Don't be caught unpausing.
You were yourself a child refugee, and for this book, you spent time with children in a refugee camp in Greece. Why did you choose to focus on refugee waiting?
I think people are very well-meaning in these kind of situations, humanitarian situations where they set up a temporary place. I mean, not just refugee camps, but any kind of help that we give to other people. We tend to get very, very kind of furious at all the bad that's happening in the world. We do something and then we immediately forget the cause or the thing that made us rage. We go back to our own lives, our own places of safety. And one of the things that happens in refugee camps is that people have just escaped. They're frightened. They arrive. They feel a sense of security, a rescue, and there's someone to welcome them. And then they're forgotten, and then they have to wait a very, very long time. A lot of the people that I spoke with, and also, I guess, when I was a refugee, I had this experience of feeling like, you're just being made to wait your life away. And, doctors don't come by that often. Teachers are all just volunteers who kind of come and go. And sometimes there is no teacher, no school, and there's nothing organized because no one's really kind of dedicated to these places. Often they're underfunded. They're badly equipped. You don't have very good food. You don't have very good accommodations, sheets, heat, all the things that you need, especially education for the children. And it does give you the sense of a place that's very much forgotten and where life just kind of wastes away. And there's kind of this really key moment in childhood. It's about when, I was in the camp and these kids were in the camp, when you arrive having had all this fire of childhood. You had a school, you had a life, you had your sports, and then there's only a certain period of time you can just sit around waiting without any idea of what your future will be before that fire is snuffed out. And there are people who've been in the camps for, 5-6 years whose fire is snuffed out. It's a real loss for the world. So in that way, it's not a place of safety. It's a place of great danger. It has to be a temporary space that people have to move through it fast. And it's the job of governments to make sure that people move through it fast and they are not made to linger there forever. And it's like a purgatory.
To those outside of the experience, refugee camps are perceived as places of safety and welcome. But in this book, you take us inside a camp and depict the camp as a villain. Why that perspective?
Kind of creative licensing that I took writing this was to create a villain out of the waiting place, as if this is a force that actually kind of feeds off of your waiting, off of your anxiety, all of those things, because it does feel that way. At some point, it feels sinister, Obviously, the reason that they're made to wait is because people have forgotten, maybe there isn't necessarily one person with a sinister motive, but there is, after you're made to wait long enough, you start to feel that there is a kind of a hand at play or something that is feeding off of this pain and suffering that you're undergoing. And so that's kind of the villain I made out of it. When systems are blocked and bureaucracies are not working and people's lives are, kind of at stake and slipping away, naturally, the systems and these hope that you won't make too much of a fuss, that you will stay and be quiet and just let things happen as they will. But of course we have to make a fuss, otherwise people's lives drain away. So for me, this was about kind of building a fictional kind of imaginary villain that represents what that experience is.
How did the children you met resist the waiting place?
Oh, there was one girl who was like making little fashion designs. She would drawing designs. She's in the book. She had a very kind of unique scar from a bombing. And then she would wear designs that somehow complemented it. And she would draw designs that would complement it, which I thought was a really beautiful form of resistance. There's a lot of other things, little things. There was one girl who was, I really very, very much related to, because I have, definitely have, some OCD, and I have habits and particular things that seem strange to other people. And as a kid, it was very noticeable. And I could see she had the need to soothe herself at times, like I used to. So she had this little video that she would run, which was a lot of soothing things happening, things slotting into place, paint being smoothed. You can find these videos. They're soothing for everyone, but for a person with OCD, they're particularly calming. And yeah, they saved themselves each and every day. And I think that was really, really beautiful, the kind of skills and strengths that they were forming there.
Millions of children are caught in the global refugee diaspora. How can we get readers to act with empathy and action to help with resettlement?
Very young age to start questioning the assumptions that underlie all of our thinking as adults. There's this exercise that I like to do, with kids, which is based on kind of the Rawlsian notion of the original position. John Rawls, the philosopher, had this idea that how would you create the world, or what kind of world would you create if you were in what he called an original position, which is you had no idea what kind of body you'd be born into, what economic class, what gender, what country, anything. So then now create the world. What kind of world would we create? Well, I think anybody would try to make it as good as possible for the least well-off person, just in case. Because they would know that statistically they're probably going to end up in the body of a poor, person somewhere in Asia or Africa or somewhere like that. So you don't want those people to be suffering because you don't know where you'll end up. That is a good exercise, or exercises like it, to challenge kids at a young age, to look beyond themselves.
Thank you, Dina Nayeri and Anna Bosch Miralpeix, for taking us inside a refugee camp and for telling us the truth about children fighting back against the corrosive effects of awaiting resettlement.